We are all set to go.
Calling to order the Needham Branding and Town Seal Committee of Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Yeah, let's see who we got.
You see us.
Yeah.
It's weird. It says attendees 1, but there's no name listed.
Is that you?
Oh, yeah.
You were out for a day. That's
Thank you.
You're two places.
Emily, you gonna stick with us?
Yeah.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, we should be done by now.
Okay.
You can get up and leave though. I don't know.
Okay. Right, that's true. Oh, there we go. Gloria.
Okay.
I'm gonna call Gloria in as a panelist. I'll try that again. I'll say allowed to talk. Oh, there she is. There we go. Okay, good.
My favorite quote is last meeting when somebody said, the town seal, it does a lot of work. I don't know who said that, but it does. It tries to do a lot.
Tries to do too much.
That sounds like Kevin.
Yes, it does.
Gloria, can you hear us?
Hold on.
This is what happened the other day, Emily.
Did I call the wrong meeting to order? Because I just realized I was reading the agenda from 11. So,
You need this?
That was when we met first.
December 3rd. Okay, that must have happened.
Do you have text capacity with Laura?
Yeah.
Or if you can hear us, but. There you
Oh,
are.
there she is.
Oh, good.
All right. You can unmute yourself.
We had a great struggle the other day. Were you here for that? Yeah.
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 No, that's what I knows.
You can't get the manufacturer to get the cost back.
I can't hear you.
Your
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I heard you.
Thanks.
Great. Okay.
All right, we're good enough. All right, so this is the Branding and Town Seal Committee for Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. We're gonna do a review of project purpose and scope. And do you guys get that attachment? I got it here. This is the draft.
Great.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you sent, Miles sent it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Gee, is this the one where you have to have people say they're here? Like we do at the Human Rights Committee, or no?
Oh, voting we would, right?
Yeah, we've stopped using the hybrid language. You know, this is a hybrid meeting. Yeah, we've stopped using it.
Oh, all right, in the card.
Yeah, the select board doesn't do it anymore.
Good.
We only did it when we were 100% online.
All right. Any thoughts?
Like walked through,
Sure, all right.
or maybe Amy can give an overview of how you structured it, and then maybe we can
Yeah.
talk through the individual pieces. Amy
Sure,
wrote it.
sure.
Agree.
So I actually took some of this from a previous exercise that we went through. The town did work with a firm through a grant that we received from the Massachusetts Downtown Initiative. We came up with branding for Needham Center, so I sort of used the template for that. And having this sort of on paper allows everybody to make sure that we're all on the same page and what we're expecting out of the process and how that we understand what the process is going to be and what our expectations are. And then this is actually then used to put together sort of the posting to attract bids for this particular purpose for a consulting firm. So,
Can I just say, how much is available for the consultant?
50,000.
50,000.
do you want to fan it? So, the purpose of this whole exercise, I don't know, Kevin, do you want to walk through this or?
Yeah, we'll take it like, we'll go through purpose, scope, and then go, if anyone has questions, go through, okay? Purpose, make changes to the town seal for appropriateness. And also, yeah, the town is the client.
Oh, that is fine.
And we're doing it for identity. The scope will create, will work with the town and complete the following tasks. They're gonna talk to us, we're doing assessment, and the stakeholders to be determined, right? Is, do we wanna talk about that now, or do you wanna?
Sure.
All right, and then, well, let me just get through this. If we're gonna do assessment and current conditions, we did a bit of that last time. But we wanna do initial interviews with key individuals and stakeholders. Other than our committee, do you wanna, what are your thoughts?
So when we went through the process for the Needham Center branding, we considered stakeholders to look at different groups. You know, we had residents, we had business owners. Yes.
Sorry, I'm late.
And understanding sort of, sort of the definition of stakeholders, who has a stake in wanting to see what the town brings in. So there, of course, are multiple town departments, there are residents, there are business owners, there are people who make their livelihood here in Needham. So anybody who has a vested interest in wanting to see the or have a part in the town's new identity. So identifying them, you know, we could say subgroups of whether they be seniors or whether they be you know, residents, that town meeting members, employees.
I would say police and fire, because they will use it. They're either gonna have it on uniforms on something. DPW the same, just, I mean,
But the
Oh,
town seal, the
right,
official town seal is to be used for town
yes,
business, all departments.
correct, but yes. So all departments, so we want all departments on, or,
Well, you're gonna have two seals?
no,
We're gonna have a brand and.
a logo. Akin to, someone made a good analogy, sort of like Boston College has their seal, but the athletic department has a whole branding system, it's thematic. So that, you know, you can buy a BC sweatshirt. It's
Yeah.
not something else.
That's what we're trying to separate.
So that's this extra use. Now, I'm just thinking of police and fire, because in the police patch, they sort of use the seal part, and it looks like Lego
Yeah,
characters.
I mean, I think it's a
Concepts.
community-wide conversation of what should be on the seal.
Okay.
I think it starts with, I really think you do have to start with review and assess. So the consultant will talk to us, and I assume we'll have the same view you all did, which is what we talked about, there's no water, and there's the hill, and, you know, and the lettering, and, you know, Amy's thought is, before we give options of what the seal might look like, at least ask people. So what, the other thing that happened, we did recently, was the health department is trying to develop a logo, so it's not the same as the seal, but
Right,
they interviewed a lot of people and said, what does Needham mean to you, and what do you think of when you hear Needham, and that kind of thing. Hi.
okay.
Just letting you know Amber joined.
Hey, Amber.
But it felt like at our last meeting, we
Hi.
That Gloria, we wanted to keep the basics of the seal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that we communicate that early. The branding could be anything.
Okay,
What I wonder is, never having worked with this kind of group, because like the Human Rights Committee does everything within the committee, that how, in terms of decision making, you know, how does this group relate to whoever is hired? And you probably, that may be an obvious kind of thing, but it's the large question that occurs to
So
me.
we'll manage the consultant, and the consultant will come to your meetings and take your feedback, and then report back on what the consultant has been doing that we asked them to do, so.
Okay, so that they're working for this group essentially to
Yes.
provide more data than we could have within.
Yeah, and presumably concept ideas that you can look at and say, well, I like that, I don't like that.
Yeah,
it's part of
okay.
There's more than one consultant who's interested. Do we vet them?
Oh, that's something. That will be, yeah, that'll be at the RFP. But yes, excellent question.
that. Yes.
All right, so if you have any other thoughts and stakeholders, do you want to also just please forward them along?
Let's think about the seal and the branding separately for a
Okay.
second. So the branding, there'll be a lot of I think a lot of interest from departments.
Yeah.
I think businesses will care.
Yes.
I think residents will care.
Okay,
I'm less clear on the stakeholders for the seal. I mean, we are representing stakeholders.
Right.
There's boards and committees that are stakeholders.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the business community can kind of get into the seal.
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
no, schools won't. Or maybe, but,
Let me ask you, I think that before we present any brands to the select board, we need really to have heard from people about what they care about.
okay,
On the seal, I don't know the answer to that, because if this group feels strongly, as you did last meeting, that it should bear some relationship to the current seal, but improved and a
yeah,
little bit better portrayal of
Modern.
Native Americans,
Yeah.
yes. I'm not sure that we go to the trouble of interviewing a bunch of stakeholders for that, so I guess.
do you guys feel good with that?
Yeah, I think it's a different, as Teddy said, a different kind of purpose for it. And it's just like when you're making a decision about civil rights or human rights, you don't do a broad survey, this year gay people are in, next year they're not, it's kind of, we're, I think, having a broader view of holding the identity of the town from the past and into the future.
Okay. All right, but then, anyone, Amber? Gloria, any thoughts? You good? Okay. For the seal, for the branding.
She says good.
Right, okay.
So, can I,
yes.
Amber, so do you think that the official town seal for the town itself, town government, should remain similar to what it is now?
I think that it should keep enough of the artistic bearings that it has now, just so it's not completely different, but just have a better depiction of what happened, or even just to look more pleasing to everyone and not kind of like, like you can look at it and know that the native in it probably wasn't happy because he was giving over his land. So maybe that aspect not kind of there, but still should have similarities to what it is now. I wouldn't say take away completely, because it is what it is and it did represent something then, but just make it so everyone now looking at it can understand it. I guess if that answers it.
Okay. But I guess I'm wrong. I thought that the town of Needham was incorporated because it wanted to go to church and it wanted to do other things.
Right.
And it couldn't cross the Charles River into Dedham.
Right.
In the winter harsh months.
Yeah.
So did we then buy the land?
Well, buy is the
question.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
no, yeah.
That is the depiction.
I guess I thought it was already Dedham land that they were letting us have.
Yes.
The townspeople in Dedham, and I may be completely.
You're absolutely right. In fact, Gloria reminded me, it's Dedham that bought the land, right?
It's Dedham, the date on the deed is 1680. It's with the incorporators of Dedham. The town of Needham separated from the town of Dedham, from the Dedham Grant in 1711. So it's actually two different events.
All right, so
So
it's
say that again,
it's the
Gloria.
conveyance of the land that we are on versus the establishment of the town.
What is the date of the deed, Gloria?
1680, April 1680.
all right,
See, I have 1711.
That's the date of the incorporation of the town. That's when the general court allowed Needham to separate from Dedham and become its own town.
so the depiction on the seal is actually the Dedham event, we think.
It's the 1680 event.
Yeah,
Okay,
All right,
my misunderstanding.
but it certainly is confusing because you look at it and you think that's the beginning of the town.
Right.
Well, it says established 1711 right underneath.
Yeah.
The old reference, and it's.
right, so it's a nod to the Dedham part of our story.
Yeah.
Nahoyden there is also, he was a resident of Needham at now Hemlock Gorge. That's what the land he gave to himself.
Well,
in his, right, he granted to himself.
Or
it was
retained.
land that was owned by his grandfather that he granted, or according to the contract sold, and that's always something that needs to be assessed in different terms, but reserving for himself the 40 acres around Hemlock Gorge.
Right.
So selling what is essentially the Needham and Wellesley land, with the exception of that piece of land in Hemlock Gorge.
Right, what
Okay.
he kept for himself.
But he wasn't actually resident in Needham.
Oh, he wasn't.
Resident in Punkapunk.
Okay.
Which is Stoughton area right now.
Stoughton Canton, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good.
So it'll be interesting to see, with some help from an expert, how we translate the execution of a deed in 1680 between Dedham and Hoyden into the incorporation of Needham in 1711.
Yes.
It'll be interesting, but we don't want to lose the history of it either. So.
Right. And
Really, I think it's the piece of paper that makes it give the perception of something's being transferred. So is the piece of paper even something that's necessary? Is that, I know as a native and I look at it, what that feels like and looks like. So maybe that's just something to think about, that it's the actual, it's looking like it's a transaction that's a little off-putting about part of the seal right now.
That's good.
It makes sense.
So how do you convey the fact of roots that, that Needham is on land that is 11,000 years or whatever of Massachusetts tribe and other indigenous people? How do we convey that rather than the moment that there was a piece of paper?
Yeah, maybe it just
That's
doesn't
exactly
need to be the actual moment. Yeah.
One is we could just be silent on the piece of paper and not,
Right.
is it not in the illustration?
Right.
And we can just say this is a meeting of two cultures, and we could leave it at that, or we could.
So remember, we're just doing the scope here. So
Yeah, oh yeah, all
we're
right.
going to ask you to help us.
All right, yes, all right, thank you.
So I think you both have framed it like, how do we convey what we want to convey, but not take away the entirety of the seal? So
Right. I'd like to thank Tony Eaton for a question.
yeah.
What was that?
The one you asked.
I'm sorry.
It gets to the essence.
Okay, back on to the,
So if I can just recap on the seal.
Yes.
How to convey it.
So what Amber said was the notion of the transaction, like there was an actual transaction, is off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
And what Cynthia said, how do we convey that there was 11,000 years of native people on this land that is now needed? So those are
right.
yeah. So
And
the
then-
seal piece is I mean, I just really do think we've combined one committee, but it's very separate. So I think we go down that with the experts and we say, how do we do these things? And then we can recommend ideas to the board, and then we'll get some feedback on that.
Okay.
Oh, a stakeholder we should add along here somewhere is this group that's called, that's the Memorial for Enslaved and Indigenous People in Needham, that's been functioning for a few years, that it happens, that Gloria and Kevin and I
Okay.
are part of. Because they've
Through the
been,
church.
through Reverend Katie Scudera, they've been doing a lot of thinking about who were these people in our past and how can we honor them, remember them, and at some point maybe do some other things too, like reparations. So
Okay.
we're not going there right now, but just if you want other groups to mention.
Can I ask another question?
Oh, your
Probably
questions are
gonna say
terrific.
This is stupid.
No, the no super.
But here we have in pre-1680, we have the natives who lived on the land.
Yeah.
And there were no pilgrims, okay?
Pre-settlers, right?
Free settlers. So why do we call these people who weren't terribly indigenous, but they were happy and they lived their lives according to the way they wanted to? Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
But what was your
Which people?
question?
The Native Americans.
Yeah.
Were
Right.
the Native Americans unhappy before the settlers got here? That's my question.
Oh, okay.
Well, people had life and they had.
The extent that humans are always happy or unhappy, I imagine.
They had agency over their own fate. perhaps.
Right.
And there was a heck of a lot more of them, and if you look at the map of the US and which areas were different tribes and all, it's, the whole thing is filled up, and then if you look other years, it gets smaller and smaller and
Right.
smaller
So-
and smaller.
Pre-settlers,
Yeah, they had a full
they were
functioning
not
political system.
necessarily indigenous
They're indigenous.
until after the settlers came.
Indigenous, maybe we're.
Just means native.
Means native.
Indigenous.
Yeah, the indigenous to the land, that is indigenous. It's native.
Original.
They're indigenous to the land. Like
Okay.
if
That's.
yeah.
I know
Or
I see.
9,000, or approximately 9,000 years,
Nice.
Yeah.
or or more, 9,000 years that we can date. But no, the settlement Dedham Grant is 1636, and there are people here north of the river then by 1636. So yeah, I mean you can't.
There were settlers here, just.
There were settlers up here before 1680. 1680 is just the date of that particular document.
All right, so is that the post-King Philip's War?
No, that was in the.
1680 is post King Philip's War.
Right, so is that when
1680.
London won all the deeds? That's what Nahoyden did, right?
Yes.
This
Yes.
Gloria.
The king required belatedly that these land takings required some form of documentation.
Right.
And so there's a whole slew of these land deeds that hover, between the late 1670s and the late 1680s.
Okay. So
Another,
the
in
question
response.
is
Compare
of
to
the
that?
1680?
Sorry.
Yeah, it
Sorry.
says 1711, but the depiction is 16.
Another point of confusion in the seal.
Yeah,
It does
Okay.
say incorporated though, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
under this picture, the transfer, it says incorporated 1711. So Yeah.
All right, and Dedham is incorporated when they thought they were in 1630s, right?
1636.
Dedham
1630s.
was incorporated chartered in 1636.
Okay, so that scenario, okay, what's on the seal is this 1680 event,
Yes.
because Nahoyden was not possibly around.
Was not what?
1630.
I'm sorry?
He probably wasn't alive, or was a taught in 1636.
He was born just about then.
Okay, so we've been too young to
He
be.
would have been an infant. No, he would have been an infant.
No, I
So
think
it's-
Gloria was clear that the sixth seal depicts the
1680
1680,
event, okay,
which I didn't really understand, so.
okay.
So that's
Yes,
good.
I didn't either.
So it's every day is a school day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they did-
I can put together a timeline if that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Okay,
So when we have our consultant, we will say to the consultant, we want you to review the seal, understand the history, and give us some recommendations on how to convey what we're trying to convey. By this week, then we'll have to have this conversation again with the consultant.
Yeah.
But I think that that's something that we can really oversee.
Yeah.
And make recommendations.
That's really important.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one, okay,
And then we'll bring that to the select board and get public comment, and I
Yes.
believe that has to go to town meeting.
Yep.
It's my understanding it doesn't have to go to the legislature, I've looked it up. So, but I'm gonna double check that with Chris.
Hmm.
I wanted to do one thing I keep forgetting to tell you. The town flag that we're flying here in town that we have.
Yeah.
It's just a white background with a seal on it. The
Oh,
one that's in the Hall of Flags
Mhm.
has two blue sides.
It's,
It's blue, white with the seal, blue.
is that a printing error?
When
I think it's.
I was in the Hall of Flags and I kept looking right past it because I said, it doesn't have blue stripes, and there it was. So I don't know, we're gonna have to dig it. Gloria, do you know? The town flag, is there any history?
Town flag's history is actually very ad hoc. In 1938, a guy named Walter Queen, who lived in Needham, was an engineer, was a naval engineer, and he was going to the Antarctic on the second on Robert Byrd's second expedition, and he said to basically Cutler, "Give me a flag, I'll take it to Antarctica." And that's when we discovered we didn't actually have a town flag. So she said, "We'll put the seal on a white background, and that's the town flag." And he actually took a version of that to Antarctica and brought it back. And we've been using it ever since.
Wow.
So there's a lot of flags that are a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
A lot
in
more
that
interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the blue stripes came from.
That'll be at the very end of this.
Okay.
So Kate, are we gonna be working on the branding and the town seal at the same time?
Yes, just to make life confusing, we have to spend this money by June.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is it the grant?
It is an earmark in the state budget.
Oh,
I guess we could think of a lot of things.
Okay,
Okay, so
All right.
that's the seal.
that's a seal, so then discuss, goals for branding.
I think we should separate the ones. Yeah, the Amy, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready. And we'll
One of the ideas that Amy had is that, but the consultant will meet with us, but it would be helpful, once the consultant gives us the questions to ask, maybe we're representing groups, like we have the Human Rights Committee, we have, the NCAC, we have other groups, like maybe get feedback from them too, in terms of the questions, which are like, again, what is Needham? What do you think of when you think of Needham? I mean, is the town seal gonna be a pansy, or is it gonna be,
Right,
Natick had like a picture of Natick, it's kind of an odd shape and wasn't all that compelling.
Right.
The zip code,
Yes,
which we can't do.
Questions like what specific characteristics or features make Needham unique?
Right.
okay.
Is that in here, or did you just come up with it on your?
I'm actually looking at the survey we did for Needham Center.
I'd be interested before we finish this, because we have a little bit of time. What are some examples of what they need to be? The pansies.
I feel like town hall's dome continues to come up as
Yeah.
the goal for the town.
Yeah. Rockets.
But one could be forward-looking too, and one of the things that struck me as being the way I hope Needham will be is when we had the multicultural fair upstairs in the town hall, and it was filled with people from representing many different cultures and the celebration together. So that's the kind of thing I think of us living into.
The 300 committee had a nice one. I believe it was the town hall.
Yeah, with 300 blue, right.
Or will it? It's tercentennial, bicentennial.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up.
Then we, 17,
2011.
2011.
Right. Tercentennial, okay.
But the 260, what's the next big one for the country that's coming up?
250, I think.
Yeah.
In what, 20?
Friday. Boston Tea Party Friday.
Yeah.
Lexington and Concord next April, and then National Bicentennial the year after that.
2026.
2026.
Yeah.
The Memorial Committee is thinking of various kinds of things to happen around that year. So maybe the branding will be done by then.
It will be done by June. Or at least we will have what we need out of the consultant. Right. That's
Right.
we have to pay the consultant by June 30th.
Do we have one yet?
No, that's
what this is.
Yeah.
We will send this out.
So this is what consultants need to read to say, all right, I can or cannot do this job.
Any idea how many hours there's? No, they would have to figure that out in their bid.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do, conduct branding survey. Being a survey, targeting residents and stakeholders, that'd be pretty,
We could do like a big one, like we've done for parking and
right,
transit, and everybody can weigh in.
yeah. That will be online, okay. Great, then we'll analyze and present surveys that they will analyze and present. and present to us, right? We're not doing anything townwide.
NVTSC is us.
Us.
Badly.
And then, do revise accordingly. Throw everything on the floor and redo it.
Amy and I were just whispering back here, we think we're gonna separate this into seal and branding so that we don't all get confused, so we'll just do two columns,
Okay.
two sets,
Good.
Thank you.
yes.
And please, if you're doing surveys, don't just do online. We have residents who don't have computers or have ability to use that. And I remember pushing that various times. And for instance, having things at the library or the senior center, having hard copies for people too. And sometimes people just ignore things that are online.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then client responsibilities. We find this, provide request information. And then the deliverables.
Editable vector files, that must have come from you.
Yeah.
What is that?
Vector file.
That's not eatable, it's edible.
Right.
Edible.
It's not edible, no. That'd be good.
Well,
You can make it editable.
that'd be delicious. A photograph is made of pixels. And that's how you can stretch it. You can't stretch it. A vector file is just algorithms of where the lines and points of the graphic are. So it's ultimately scalable forever.
Oh.
So it can be on a postage stamp or go on the bill.
Small, it's a large, you can, yeah.
Doesn't matter. You don't lose, it just is instructions.
You don't lose the integrity of it.
Yeah.
No matter how expanded it is.
Yeah, and so they're great.
So that it doesn't look like that, well, actually, that looks better than ours, but, you know, like,
Right.
if you shrink it.
Yeah.
You know.
It doesn't lose its sort of
Yeah, okay.
integrity, I guess.
Yeah, it may be, if you do just want to make crash on itself, crush itself, but like,
Yeah.
you could take the file and just stretch
You
it.
can make a poster with it. for
Oh,
instance.
easy, no problem. It's a forever file and we'll just always work
Wow.
it. And when for some reason saves them as JPEGs, which means they're photos again. So it's like, it's useless.
Right.
So that's,
Mind blowing.
The other thing about the seal is that it should have conventions or standards around it, but people aren't gonna be using it, but it's gonna be like black and white. It's not gonna, or whatever color it is, but it's not gonna be colored in or
correct.
touched in any way or used in any way other than public documents.
Yeah, and it's like you lock it.
It's got
control
integrity.
it.
Yeah.
Town clerk,
Teddy will lock it.
yeah, you will be the keeper of the
Yeah.
file.
I think that's in the law somewhere.
Yeah.
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And people can only use it for, you know, letterhead and documents.
Town business.
Official town.
I don't even know about letterhead, actually. We haven't gone down that road.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think that looks nice to have it on a letterhead. Only for official town business.
Right.
Appointment to committees and things.
all right. Amy, you want to talk us through the RFP process?
Sure, so please jump in. Still, I just took a class on public procurement and I'm still absorbing all of it, so Kate's much more of an expert on this than I am. But as I understand, because it's a $50,000 limit, we do not need to go through an RFP process. We're going through what's called a 3-bid process. Three-quote process. And so we can reach out to firms that we would like to solicit quotes from. Doesn't mean we need to get 3 quotes back. It just means that we need to do our due diligence. If we can reach out to many more than that.
Okay.
But as I understand it, again, from my conversation meeting with Cecilia, the Assistant Director of Finance, is that we are still obligated to go with the lowest financial amount, the lowest bidder.
If we're satisfied that they can do the work.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that should be the correct.
Do you, I mean, we know of a couple.
So I actually reached out to, there's a listserv of communications folks from state and municipalities in Greater Boston, actually all over Massachusetts, that I put out a call for anybody who had recommendations for firms that they've worked with, and a few have come my way. So I'm actually just doing some research behind the scenes.
We know the one from health.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Do you know of any?
No. No.
Marketing?
I mean, to be honest, this is probably a small project. I mean, a big firm is probably not going to be interested in doing this. So you might get some sort of smaller firms or some sort of freelance folks that are maybe in business back for themselves. So I do have some recommendations, and I'm doing some research.
Okay. David Lindy might know.
Okay.
And Doug Fox actually, when he might know firms,
Okay.
but not firms. So
Yeah.
he might be a resource.
And Amy, did you say you reached out to some municipalities that have experience doing this type of?
Yes. Did Natick hire a consultant? Natick actually hired a freelance graphic designer who was from Natick but actually lives in Hawaii. So she's doing it remotely.
Okay, yeah.
But they've, worked with her. So they actually, I actually have a note to follow up because they just were about to announce their.
I thought they already had chosen the bridge.
It's the seal.
They're
working on their.
They're also branding, dual branding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they are a model we want to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're.
Do you have questions that you're going to be asking or criteria?
It's gotta be in here. So whatever we put out,
Scope.
the scope has to be.
All right. Just a quick question, Amber. I know your niece is a graphic designer.
Yes. She's an artist.
All right, artist. Okay. We love her feedback. I don't know if she could apply for this because you're on the committee.
Okay.
Because that might be a
That's completely understandable. I mean, obviously we love it and it'd be a beautiful piece to it to actually have a native praying Indian from, indigenous that actually did the seal, but completely understood.
Why we can ask town council on that.
Well, I mean, I don't know that she's qualified to run the whole process. That's the thing.
Oh, you're talking about hiring somebody to do a process.
They're gonna come in and do this whole process.
Yeah, I don't know that that's her background
Yeah. But how,
to do
I'd
this.
love to get her
Yeah,
feedback.
she's not in graphic arts. She could definitely do the rendering of it, but then would still have to give it to a graphic artist to get down all the insides of it. But I mean, she could definitely do the visual part of it, but I don't know if that'd even be worth it or feasible to have one person do that part and then have to go to a graphic designer anyway to finalize it. So
yeah, but isn't that something different than getting the person who does this process is different than one outcome would be to hire an artist?
No, we're gonna hire somebody to do everything. We have 6 months and $50,000. But if Amber's cousin wanted to give us feedback, maybe she'd be willing to come to a meeting and give feedback or pointers. That would be really.
Yeah, no, she's actually going to sit in on today, but I didn't know if that would be appropriate but yeah, no, she's offered and would love that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems like an awful lot of skills for one person, that they know how to do all these research and communication and are also an artist. That just seems like really.
This is what David Lindy does.
Yeah, this is what these really talented, creative, tiny firms do. You worked for one, right?
I did.
Hey, Emily, you worked for a firm that did this kind of work. Did they do?
They didn't
graphics
do,
too?
we outsourced graphic design, but we did manage processes all like this.
So they outsource graphic design.
Yeah.
But the company that's doing health is not outsourcing graphic.
Correct.
Okay, because that's the part that I feel isn't really fit as well. If somebody who can do all the communication things, and then you might have an individual who did the creative design.
The way our procurement works though, we have to go this way. We have to put the whole project out. If they want to hire somebody, if they need a sub, they can do it.
Oh,
But
okay.
they have to.
So then if I were interviewing people, I would ask whether that's something that they would be willing to have to hire out that particular piece to a person.
Not really. So the way public procurement works is that you have to say what you want, and then you have to select the vendor who can do all of the things, whose cost is the least. That's what we have to do. So we can't tell them the means and methods by which to do it. It's just not.
So we may end up with a process that we don't like.
Cynthia,
Oh, okay.
do you think I would let that happen?
This is a new thing
Yeah,
to me.
it will
So
be fine.
Right. And I
We're
think
gonna
also,
find a great company.
as a resource, Amber's, is it, I'm sorry, your niece or your cousin?
niece.
Niece.
It's my
Okay.
niece.
All right. That as a resource is just, that would be
It's
made available. This person, whoever does it, will know that's.
Oh, okay, fine. Because that would be putting
Yeah.
too much on Talitha to ask her to do
No,
this.
absolutely. She
Okay.
was thrilled at the idea and welcomes giving input. And still, it would be, again, another, Massachusetts praying Indian from the land having input on it. I think that's beautiful. So yeah, no, we're honored.
Okay.
And is her name Rising Sun or Sunrise?
She's Sunrise. And I say my niece, and you're probably thinking little, but she's actually 34. Her degree is in sculpting. She worked as an apprentice for my stepfather, my mom that passed her husband he's a stained glass artist, world renowned, amazing. And she apprenticed under him for about 7 years. So her degree is in sculpting, but she's just an all around phenomenal artist. And she's native. She's us.
Wow.
Okay. That'd be great. Okay, and then my other question is, we're going with the lowest bidder, but they have to demonstrate that they can do the job.
Yeah.
So we can make, there's a judgment call between them, right?
We'll figure out a way to make a judgment.
Okay.
I'm gonna defer to Kate's expertise on this.
All right, so we're not just like,
But the beauty of being able to do quotes is that we can put this out. We probably at this point be putting it out right after the holiday or after the holiday. But otherwise it would take 6 to 9 weeks, and this would be much faster.
oh, yeah, okay,
So we are under the gun on this money.
okay.
Which is the problem with an earmark. They release the money in November.
Oh, okay, so that's starting, okay.
Oh, the mysteries of town management being revealed.
Well, yeah, it
Wow.
is interesting because it's, in theory, you have the whole fiscal year, but you don't get the money. We don't actually even have the check. We can spend it. Anyway,
Okay.
we do need to set like maybe the next 2 meetings.
Yes, next meeting schedule.
You already scheduled it last time.
Did we? Yeah, but we might have.
Yeah, January
January
10th. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And how are we feeling about something now we can meet every day, then if we get.
Every day.
This is very important. Yeah, do you want to do something to February or?
Yeah, let's do that. See if we can do that February.
Any suggestions?
You want to
13th, Tuesday, the 13th.
7th, so that it's.
Yeah.
Not the 14th.
Yeah, 13th is, oh, yeah, right. I have
Kevin needs
somewhere,
to have a
I have a date on the 14th.
Do you have a date?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the 7th.
We won't tell Eileen.
Thank you. Terrible. This conversation got off the rails. All right.
It's still being recorded. Watch out. February 7th.
February 7th.
February 7th.
It's great that you have the hybrid option. We have big snowstorms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but then you would still have to come.
Kevin, that's another board meeting night.
Oh, shoot. All right. These are Wednesdays are first Wednesdays of the month, the Union History Center Museum board meeting.
Today's.
Well, actually, usually second, but we had to move it because of the 14th.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
All right, so when you,
Let me just back up for 1 second. We did set it for the 10th, but I'm not sure we'll have anything to report on the 10th. Maybe we move that one later,
Oh, that's a
right?
good idea. Because you don't want to get in school vacation.
Well, we don't, in January, we don't want to have a meeting and not have any consultant.
True.
So maybe we could do,
Oh, so take the January meeting.
Like do the 24th
yeah.
or 31st?
The 31st I can't.
Is the 24th okay for Gloria? Of January?
24th and both 24th and 31st are good for me.
24th, let's pick the 24th.
Yeah, let's do
Eddie, that's your budget hearing. Are you okay that night?
Sure.
So January 24th is the next.
Right,
January 24th.
So 10th is moved to the 24th, okay.
and then maybe go to the 27th of February? 21st of February?
Is that school vacation?
Does anybody have a problem with school vacation?
No,
Not anymore.
That's,
How about Amber? How about for you?
We have an event.
completely fine.
This would be at 4 o'clock?
yeah,
So what's that date
The
again?
21st,
Okay.
February 21st instead of February 7th.
right.
So January 24th and February 21st.
4 o'clock. And, okay.
And then which one of the meetings do you want me to have my niece on, or I can just kind of have her be available for the January? I mean, we live in the same town, so.
Great.
That'd be great. Thank you, Beth.
Yeah.
Okay, any other business?
Thanks, everybody, for participating.
Do we have to adjourn?
Yeah, we need a motion.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
Don't know.
Oh, all right, second.
Second.
Oh, sorry. We have 2 seconds, so it's 4.
Wait, who made it, Teddy?
I did.
Okay,
And he said second.
so we gotta do it by roll call. So Amber, how do you vote?
What am I supposed to say? I'm sorry. I was saying second.
Oh, no, seconds are done.
Second, she did, oh, yeah.
So now we'll come to a vote, so I need you to say yes or no on adjourn.
Yes.
All right, Gloria?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Sasha?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
I'm also.
Oh, yeah, and,
That's very rare, but I'll vote.
okay, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Gloria, I'll
Thank
see you in a
you.
bit.
Night.
Yep, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Yeah. Oh, Gloria, you
Yeah.
handed out some documents last time. Are those available digitally? You handed out,
The entire thing, 2 separate columns, or everything, or you could just do the